Live on air, we're live on Castbox FM, live on YouTube, and we're live on Big O TV. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at Proclamation News and Gatherance. And it's Thursday, the 23rd of July. Good morning. It's amazing how we can all actually come together today. People subscribing on YouTube, Castbox, and now Big O TV. We've branched out to different media. We're on a lot of media, different platforms. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. So we're building, we're actually building a better dominion over Proclamation News and Gatherance. Thank you all for coming in this morning. Yesterday we had the PMQs with Boris Johnson and Sir Keir Starmer, always having it out. Boris Johnson always acts stupid, but he's very, very intelligent. I'm let you know that. Sir Keir Starmer was saying Boris Johnson's got trading going with Russia. But then Boris Johnson threw back at him. Sir Keir Starmer has been taking money from Russia, and he said, 1 minute you're supporting Brexit, the next minute you're supporting the EU. He said you've had more flip flops than Bournemouth Beach. That was one of his famous quotes of yesterday's PMQs. Anyway, as we go through the Proclamation News strategy. Formation for today. We are sponsored by O2 network providers, one of the best broadband and mobile phone devices worldwide. They've got so many latest gadgets, iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Plus or whatever, and they've got this new Samsung looks pretty good. I'm looking at it now. The Galaxy Samsung Tab S5e refurb. It's not actually a phone. I thought it was a phone. It's not. It's a tab. I was looking at it. I thought, well, that looks pretty sharp, looks pretty good. The camera on it's supposed to be really good. Let's look at some more pay monthly tariffs, shall we? Let's look at some more pay month or look with the speak to O2 Guru inside the store and see what the best latest device is. But I can promise you now, O2 is the best network. You get full coverage nearly all over the UK. Maybe not in Norfolk Broads because it's not inland, it's on the water. So if you go Norfolk Broads or something like that, you're offshore, you may lose signal, not quite sure. But anyway, ladies and gents, we're going to get off the O2. There is a lot of thingies you can win. O2 is not, I don't think it's no good if you're overseas, I don't think O2. So it's for UK residents. Let's start with the US politics. Trump, with President Trump in the US and Canada, Trump concedes pandemic to get worse before it gets better. More with Trump. President Donald Trump has warned the US pandemic may get worse before it gets better, as he's revived his virus briefings with a more scripted tone. I mean, I think it's as of today, you got to wear as of tomorrow, isn't it? You'll wear a COVID mask when you go shopping. Is that going to cause a disturbance for the security guard at the door because everyone's going to not have a COVID mask, so they probably can get their F's and Q's thrown at them by everyone coming through. Thank you, Lisa, showing that support. I appreciate you so much. Mr. Trump also asked all Americans to wear face coverings, saying they have an effect and show patriotism. I mean, this is very, do you know what I mean? I think it's very, very stupid what they're doing, bringing out COVID masks now. They should have done it from day one. If you wear a COVID mask from walking around, they should have them from day one. You know, even when you're going to your family, they should be wearing COVID masks all the time. Why bring it into the artillery now? It's a bit too late, isn't it? The president, who was not wearing a mask at the briefing, has previously disparaged them as a unsanitary. Thank you so much, Lee, for getting me to number one. The aides have reportedly pressed him to adopt a more measured approach as virus caseloads spike across the US. The daily White House news conference ended soon after Mr. Trump suggested in April, during freewheeling remarks from the podium, that the virus might be treated by injecting disinfectant into people. I remember he said that. Can you remember this inject disinfectant into people? Is that a bit ludicrous? I think so. The mental health act, who knows? In the first White House coronavirus briefing for months on Tuesday, a less of the cut president echoed what public health officials and pandemic task force have been saying, as he warned. It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. Okay, Liz. Thank you, girl. I'll come and I'll see you later, mate. Something I don't like saying about things, but that is the way it is. He added, "We're asking everybody that when you are not able to socially distance, wear a mask. Get a mask," he said. "Whether you like the mask or not, they have an impact. They have an effect, and we need everything we can get." Mr. Trump, who more than one referred to COVID-19 as China virus, took a mask from his pocket in the briefing room, but did not put it on. I might be designing my own COVID masks. They're going to be material, and they're going to be well worth more than your ones from Poundland. They'll be better material. So just keep informed, guys. It could well be in the next few days over the week. So be some new design COVID masks. Look fashionable. So keep an eye out on my Facebook. Keep an eye out on my social media, or give me a message on inbox. The president is facing an uphill climb to re-election in November against Democratic challenger Joe Biden, according to the opinion polls. Mr. Biden on Tuesday accused Mr. Trump of having failed Americans in his handling of the pandemic. He quit on you. He's quit on his country, the former US Vice President said. Donald Trump's afternoon coronavirus press briefings are back, regardless of what the president said during his brief appearance on Tuesday. The simple fact of their return speaks volumes about this dismissal course the pandemic has taken in the US in the past 3 months. Cases are rising, particularly in the South and West, perhaps most directly as a result of the administration's support of states to end mitigation measures before public health benchmarks were met. And so the president, sticking closely to his prepared marks, somberly noted that things will only get worse before they get better, after previously dismissing a mask-wearing reporter as being politically correct. He now encouraged people to wear face coverings. A number of recent polls have indicated that sinking public support for the president's handling of the virus has been dragging down to his re-election prospects. The White House reportedly hopes getting the president back in front of the American people. It will help rebuild their confidence in his leadership. A real solution to the president's dilemma, however, it won't come until the coronavirus cases once again go down, hospital empty, Americans go back to work, schools reopen, and life returns to some semblance of normal. That day still seems a long way off, while election day is drawing close. Mr. Trump appeared without medical experts who used to address the briefings. He kept his remark brief and focused, avoiding sparring with reporters who asked a few questions. He continued, "We're asking Americans to use masks, socially distance and employ vigorous hygiene. Wash your hands every chance you get while sheltering high-risk populations. Why are you imploring young Americans to avoid packed bars and other crowded indoor gatherings? Be safe and be smart." Mr. Trump has been reluctant to wear a mask himself in front of the media, claiming that some people only wore such face coverings as a political statement against him. The press pictured him recently wearing a mask for the first time as he visited a military hospital. When asked on Tuesday about his shift in support for masks, the president pointed out that even health experts had changed their minds. Back in March, both Dr. Anthony Fauci and one of the leading members of the president's coronavirus task force and US Surgeon General Jerome Adams said there was no reason for people in the US should wear a mask. Since at least April, as the US Centers for the Disease Control has recommended Americans wear face mask coverings in public, Dr. Fauci now argues US authorities should be more forceful in compelling mask wearing, through Mr. Trump has rejected calls for the White House to issue a national order on the issue. During the briefing, the president continued to assert the virus would one day disappear. He would wrongly claim the US has a lower coronavirus death rate than almost everywhere else in the world. According to Johns Hopkins University, the US mortality rate is ranked 10th out of the 20 worst hit countries. The United States has recorded nearly 3.9 million COVID-19 cases and over 141,000 deaths, the highest by volume in the world. Mr. Trump was also asked by a reporter about the case of the Ghislaine Maxwell, the British socialite who was charged this month by the US authorities with sex trafficking children for her ex-boyfriend, the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The president said, "I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well. Frankly, I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I've lived in Palm Beach, Florida, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew, added Mr. Trump, mentioning the British royal, who denies claims he had sex with a teenage girl who says she was trafficked by Epstein. Very shocking, isn't it? More showbiz, ladies and gents. More showbiz. I want to bring different audience in to, enjoy the cast, not just full on UK politics and US politics. So we've got a bit of showbiz. Showbiz, there's no business like show business at Proclamation News and Gatherings. It's important you tune in, subscribe, share, see what's going on in today's modern world and modern society. It may affect you, it may affect me, it may affect the whole world, which is important. Kim Kardashian West addresses husband Kanye West's mental health. Kim Kardashian West was publicly addressed her husband Kanye's mental health issues following a series of erratic statements in recent days. She wrote on Instagram, "As you may know, Kanye has bipolar disorder, and who has this or has a loved one in their life who does knows how incredibly complicated and painful it is to understand. He is a brilliant but complicated person whose words sometimes do not align with his intentions," she said. The rapper is one of America's biggest music stars and is currently attempting to run for US president. But his first campaign rally and a number of recent Twitter messages have sparked confusion and concern. Kim and Kanye married in 2014 and have 4 children together. In her message on Wednesday, the TV personality and model said she had not previously spoken publicly and that how his mental health had affected the family because I'm very protective of our children and Kanye's right to privacy when it comes to his health. She wrote, but today I feel like I should comment on it because on the stigma and the misconceptions about mental health, those that understand mental illness or even compulsive behaviour know that the family is powerless unless the member is a minor. People who are unaware or are far removed from the experience can be judgmental and not understand that the individual themselves have to engage in the process of getting help, no matter how hard family and friends try. Mental health, you really need to, a lot of people suffer from mental health. You need to find yourself before you know yourself, before you get, then you can rearrange your life before you do go down with some sort of mental health. You need to acknowledge you've got something wrong with you and get help, seek help. Kardashian's West went on to say her husband was subject to criticism because he is a public figure, and his actions at times can cause strong opinions and emotions, but ask for greater empathy and understanding. I mean, you find everyone in life can be judgmental and say, I think he's got mental health or she's got mental health. But let me say something. That's why you have to know yourself. You have to know what you want in life. People go, oh, he's got mental health because he ain't got a girlfriend, or he's got mental health because he wears old clothes, or anything, anything. They can be, people are vindictive. Just pick a point. Oh, he's got a bit of dribble in his lip. That's because I'm talking. People look at you, they go, but he's got broken nose, he's got mental health, or his hair's not the right colour, he's got mental health. People are so judgmental, but you've got to know yourself. Only you can know if you've got mental health. Absolutely. He is a brilliant but complicated person who, on top of the pressures of being an artist and a black man, who experienced the painful loss of his mother and has to deal with the pressure and isolation that it is heightened by bipolar disorder, she added. So she shouldn't be, that's her being judgmental on Kanye West. Kanye West can only know if he's got mental health. Is he suffering? Maybe he's suffering in his relationship. He's not happy in his relationship. Maybe that in the relationship that he's got with Kim Kardashian just needs to be annihilated, and then he'd be free from all that pain that he's going through, perhaps, where she's been judgmental in the media. Because if my missus has been judgmental about me in the newspaper, there's no way I'd want that relationship. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but this is what I do every day, and I'm quite happy in life. I do artwork, I'm studying, I'm doing my radio. It's what I enjoy, interacting with media. Those who are close with the Kanye know that his heart and understand his words sometimes do not align with his intentions. Living with bipolar disorder does not diminish on or invalidate his dreams and his creative ideas, no matter how big or unobtainable they may feel to some. This is part of his genius, and as we all have witnessed, many of his big dreams have come true. We are a society to talk about giving grace to the issue of mental health as a whole. However, we should also give it to the individuals who are living with it in times when they need it most. Yeah, I know. No, he should get rid of her. If she put him down in the media, that is shocking. I kindly ask that the media and public give us compassion and empathy that is needed so we can get through this. What is bipolar disorder? There are different types of bipolar. Those with type I experience periods, manic highs and depressive lows. Those with type 2 experience severe depression and mild manic episodes, known as hypomania. That lasts for a shorter period of time. Those with psychophobia experience less severe mood swings, but can last longer. During a manic episode, those with bipolar can feel euphoric and have lots of energy, ambitious plans and ideas, but they can become aggressive and experience symptoms of psychosis. The exact cause of bipolar disorder is unknown. Some experts believe it can be developed as a result of severe emotional distress as a child, as well as genetic and chemical factors. Only one in every 100 UK adults will be diagnosed with the condition at some point in their life. There you go. There you go, ladies and gents. Proclamation news. Going into more UK politics. Rishi Sunak in the headlines. Coronavirus minister urged to face the covenant's confusion. I think everyone's sick of hearing about it, but it's still going on, so we still need to be bringing it up, unfortunately. The government is accused of a mixed message where people will wear face coverings while the new rules come into force. There will be a compulsory in shops in England from Friday, but the guidance is yet to be published. Trade bodies and opposition MPs said confusion remained over takeaways. Minister Brandon Lewis said face coverings will be mandatory where purchasing takeaway food and drink, but not if you are eating at the premises. If you're going into a takeaway, you're eating in somewhere that's a good takeaway, then that is like hospitality. You are eating. It's not practical to wear a face mask. We recognise that. The Northern Ireland Secretary said, but if you're going to buy product and leaving again, then you are treating it like a shop and you'll be wearing a face mask. A Department of Health spokesperson said, if a shop supermarket has a capital or a seating area to eat and drink, you can remove your face covering in that area. However, Kate Nichols, chief executive for the UK Hospitality, said it contradicted what the industry had previously been told by the government, and it was very late in the day for this to be confirmed. It's really unhelpful to have that confusion, because the single biggest thing we need to know to rebuild consumer confidence, and that needs clear, unambiguous messaging. She told BBC's Breakfast the new regulations will be published on Thursday, less than 24 hours before they come into effect. Yeah, it may well do unless they're eating in. You've got unless they're eating in, I believe. The criticism came after Miss Hancock, Mr. Bodge Johnson, official spokesperson, contradicted each other over the rules on takeaways and sandwich shops. Health Secretary said last week you need to wear a face mask in Pret because Pret is a shop. If there's a table service, it is not necessary to have a mask, but in any shop you need to wear a mask. So if you're going up to a counter in Pret to buy a takeaway, that is a shop. There you go. But the Prime Minister's spokesperson later said, we will be publishing the full guidance shortly, but not understand if it would be mandatory if you went in, for example, to a sandwich shop in order to get a takeaway to wear a face covering. That's not going to work, is it? You've got people sitting there no face mask on, and then you've got people going there for a takeaway. Can you put your face mask on? They'll be like, yeah, right, he's sitting down there eating his food, no face mask, and shut up, mate. That's going to cause a massive disturbance. Is that going to happen? I think not. But good work inside Parliament, I must say. People should, try and take it into proper measures because they might put lockdown even worse, shut all the shops. That's what happened, you know that. Phase two's coming. Phase two's coming. You didn't stick to the rules. Anyway, here we go. Face coverings have been compulsory in shops in Scotland since 10th of July. Shoppers are not currently required to wear them in Wales and Northern Ireland, although this is being considered. Health Secretary Matt Hancock announced on the 14th of July that wearing a face covering in shops and supermarkets would be compulsory from Friday, the 24th of July, with anyone failing to comply facing a fine of up to £100. The same exemptions as for public transport will apply for children under 11 and people with breathing problems not required to wear a covering. Anyone can put one on. Wear and remove a face covering because of physical or mental illness or impairment or disability is also exempt. We as a restaurant have been told they will refuse to sit. Yeah, they will. Can police make me cover? Can police make me cover my face? A police federation which represents frontline officers says they can spend their time patrolling thousands upon thousands of outlets. Shops and staff and security guards can already detain shoplifters while waiting for the police to arrive. However, the general power of the citizens of West is only exercisable and apprehend criminals committing offences that will go before a judge and a jury. A penalty ticket for being socially obnoxious would not cross that high bar. Police leaders hope shop managers will refuse a non-mask wearer's entry, rather than rather than turning to the police to solve the problem. Met Commissioner Dame Cressida Dick has said that the police in London would only enforce them wearing coverings in shops as a last resort. If people not wearing a covering refuse to leave a shop or become aggressive, Liberal Democrat health spokesperson Munira Wilson called for urgent clarity for business and to help people feel safe. Clear communication is critical in a public health crisis. Instead, this confusion on guidance shows ministers simply could not organise a bum fight in a bakery. She told the PA news agency. All this, all this stinks of ministers making it up as they go along instead of listening to the experts. Tracy Kennard, who works in a supermarket as a representative of the shop workers union, USDAW, said while increasing numbers of the customers were choosing to wear masks, this is still only amounted to around 20%, and making it compulsory would help her feel safer. Face coverings are already compulsory in the public transport in England and Scotland, as well as most buses, trains, and ferries in Northern Ireland. They will be mandatory and public transport in Wales at 27. Ladies and gents, proclamation news and gathering. Stay tuned. We've got more on bonafide conservatism. We've got two more chapters to go. Thank you all for joining in. I really appreciate it all come through. This is my daily regime in the mornings. I do this in the morning and I do a bit of entertainment in the afternoon. Sometimes I'm doing artwork, so bear that in mind as well. UK unveils new special visa from Hong Kong BNO holders. UK government has unveiled the conditions under the most 3 million Hong Kong residents will be able to start a path to citizenship. Hong Kong's British national overseas passport holders and their immediate descendants will have the right to apply for the special UK visa for January. Home Secretary Priti Patel said the offer comes after China imposed a sweeping new security law in Hong Kong. Beijing has previously warned the UK not to meddle in domestic issues. Foreign Minister spokesman Zhao Lijian said in May that all British national overseas or BNO passport holders or Chinese nationals and the move would violate international law. However, Ms Patel said on Wednesday that the offer meant the UK was keeping our promise to Hong Kong residents to uphold their freedoms. What are the conditions to get a special visa? BNO holders already have the right to visit UK visa free for 6 months. However, they'll not allow them to apply for two periods of 30 months leave or 5 years. Leave to remain in the UK and eventually become full British citizens. BNO holders are able to bring immediate dependents, including their spouse, who does not have to have the passport, along with children under the age of 18. No one born after 1997 is entitled to a BNO passport, and it does not pass down through the generations. However, children who are born in 1997 or later and are older than 18 will be able to apply if they are part of the family unit. Applicants do not have to apply to applicants do not have to have a job before arriving in the UK, and there is no minimum salary attached to the visa. However, the passport holders must be able to support themselves financially and will not qualify for benefits. They'll need have a tuberculous TB test certificate and no serious convictions. Though those convicted only of offences related to recent demonstrations in Hong Kong will still qualify. They also need to commit and to learn English. Why this is UK offering the special visa. Hong Kong is a former British colony which handed back to China in 1997. But before Hong Kong was returned, the UK-China agreement introduced one country, two systems, which meant, among other things, rights such as freedom of assembly, free speech, freedom of press would be protected. The agreement signed in 1984 was set to last in 2047, but the UK says its agreement, known as a joint declaration, is under threat because the territory passed by a new law in June gives China sweeping new controls over the people in Hong Kong. The new wide-ranging law makes inciting hatred of China's central government and Hong Kong's regional government illegal. It allows for closed-door trials, wiretapping of suspects and potential suspects could be tried on the mainland. Means as a wide range of acts, including damaging public transport facilities and consider terrorism. Requires internet providers of handover data is requested by the police. China has said the law is necessary to prevent the type of protests seen in Hong Kong during much of 2019. However, freedom as a semi-autonomous region in China. I didn't think they was going to let their citizens come over, but they're putting a bit of a restriction on how they come over willy-nilly, which is good. Still keeping it, because that may be where the coronavirus happened, so they say. I don't know, but you got to take precautions, haven't we? Russia report UK considers tougher security laws after criticism by MP. We have some entertainment after this. It's going to be about 5 more minutes. Ministers are considering strengthening security laws after a report by MPs accused them from understanding the threat of Russian interference. Home Office Minister James Brockenshire said the foreign agents could be required to register in the UK in the future. He told MPs that this and the other new offences and powers for dealing with the foreign spies and being looked at. Labour Sir Keir Starmer accused the government of a complacency and leaving a serious gap in all our defences. Speaking to the Prime Minister's question, Sir Keir Starmer said that the government delayed legislation to help Russia to counter Russian interference, despite acknowledging 18 months ago that existing powers were insufficient. The PM sat on his report for 10 months and failed to plug a gap in our law in national security, he said. How is the PM going to address that gap and meet the threat with a joined up robust response it deserves? Boris Johnson pulled him apart, I believe. Boris Johnson said there was no other country in the Western world that was more vigilant about Russian interference, pointing to recent sanctions against Russian officials involved in human rights abuses and proposed laws to protect critical infrastructure and intellectual property. Let us be in no doubt about what this is about, he said. It is about pressure from the Islingtonian Remainers who have been seized on this report to try and give the impression that Russian interference was somehow responsible for Brexit. The people of this country did not vote to leave the EU because of the pressure from Russia. The Intelligence and Security Committee, its report claimed the government made no effort to investigate claims of the Russian interference in the EU referendum and criticised intelligence agencies for not prioritising the issue. The government has said as an inquiry is not necessary as it is to be seen evidence of successful interference. Boris Johnson really pulled him apart. This is when Boris Johnson in PMQs yesterday said, "You've been taking money from Russia, Sir Keir Starmer." And he's getting Boris's back, so he's not. What he's saying is Sir Starmer's not to be trusted. He's been taking money from Russia himself, Sir Keir Starmer. And then he said, 1 minute he's supporting Brexit, next minute he's supporting EU, and then you've had more flip-flops in Bournemouth Beach. Exactly what he said to in the PMQs yesterday. I was watching it. Additional powers. Our ministers are listening to calls from the parties to do more to counter Russian espionage and subversion. About the UK as described, the main target after the US and the NATO. Plans to make foreign agents registered were mentioned in the government's legislative agenda last December and were previously announced by former Home Secretary Sajid Javid in May last year. In response to an urgent question from Labour in the House of Commons, Mr Brokenshire said UK would consider strengthening the Official Secrets Act and tightening rules on investment visas. Let there be no doubt, we are unafraid to act when necessary to protect the UK and our allies. If you do not seek, you do not find. Whether deliberate or deficient, the Intelligence and Secretary Committee's very long-awaited report outlines gaping holes in the UK's handling of the treat from Russia. For years, it seems lack of priority, a lack of curiosity, allowed the risk to go unmonitored, if not to go unchecked. The UK government has now stiffened its attitude to Putin's Russia. But Shadow Home Secretary Nick Thomas Symonds said the conscious decision not to consider whether there was any attempt to manipulate the Brexit vote spoke volumes, urging ministers to threat the issue seriousness it deserves, he added. I thank the Secretary Services for the work they do, but they need help. This report makes clear that they have not received the strategic report, legislative tools, or resources necessary to defend our interests. In its 50-page report, the ISC said the UK was clearly a target for disinformation campaigns around its elections, but that the issue was described as a hot potato, with no one organisation taking the lead to tackle it. The committee suggested a new Espionage Act. It could help prevent individuals acting on behalf of foreign power and concealing their links with that country. It said that an obligation similar to that in the US, where agents are required to register with the Justice Department, would clearly be vulnerable in countering Russian influence in the UK. ISC member ISC member Kevin Jones said he was concerned that the Law Commission, which he was asked last year to look on legal issues regarding such a move, had yet to release its findings. Can I urge the Minister to make sure we actually get this legislation in place because it is needed, he said. Let's hope to just spin to get the headlines. Downing Street was accused of holding back their ISC report ahead of December's UK election and for delaying its nomination to set up the new committee, both claims it has declined. Its chair, Julian Lewis, who was stripped from the Conservative whip after the line no number 10 by standing for its leadership, sought reassurances that Downing Street special advisers would not be able to interfere the prominent professor, always with bona fide conservatism, always with daily flux news, UK politics. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Take care. God bless. If you can get more people to subscribe and share with your friends and family, I appreciate it. Because one friend will tell another friend will tell another friend, and that's how you will actually build a YouTube business. Thank you all so much. It's really a pleasure. You doing, guys? I'm gonna sing you a song now. You wait all patiently. I'm gonna sing you a song.